Okay. The first section on the quiz, I will tell you this, guys. The quiz, you're going to have to be careful because it's in the order that we taught it, kind of. So it's arithmetic sequences, geometric sequences, arithmetic sums, geometric sums. So be careful what kind it is, okay? And then the last section is kind of the mishmash, and it includes like convergent, divergent, okay? So this first section, Isaac M. something, Macing or something. That'll be good on the video. Okay. So on 8B, there are 3 questions that would be fit in this section, and then I have one extra one down here. You want to do this extra one first? Okay. In an arithmetic sequence, what is the difference if the first term is -20 and the 23rd term is 57? Trinity, this is you. Whoops. I don't have a cursor, maybe, again. -20 plus some difference, how many times to get to the 23rd term? 22 differences would give me 57. That's not a 57. Just kidding. So 57 plus 20 would be 77. Divided by 22 would be 7/11. 7 halves. Just kidding. Don't ask me to do mental math today, apparently. Did anybody else get that? 3.5 or 7 halves? It's exact at 3.5, so I don't care which way. Questions? Anybody totally confused? Need me to write the general formula on the top of that? Anything? All right, now on worksheet 8B, it says we're to do 1AB, 4, and 7. So please don't stop me in a minute to ask where these are coming from, okay? These are on 8B. Says the third term is 8. 1, 2, 3. And the difference is -2, and it wants the first 5 terms. So what comes after 8? Says we're going down by 2s, right? So we'd have 6 and 4, and going back this way, 10 and 12. Are we good? This is a sum question. That's not on this part. That's on another part. Did it not say A and B? Okay. Well, we can review this while we're here, but that's not on this section. How do you find the sum of the first 12 terms? It's actually okay because we have to find the 12th term, which is what would be on this section. How would you find the 12th term? The first term plus the difference, 11 times 12 minus 1. -10 maybe? Anybody getting that? Okay. So does anybody know the sum formula? Or look on your sheet and find the sum formula? It says the sum of 12 terms is a sub 1 plus a sub 12. 12 divided by 2. Does that seem okay with everybody? Know where I'm getting that? So the first term was 12. The 12th term was -10. And because we're finding the sum of 12 terms, n is 12, so this would be 12 over 2. I'm getting 12. Is anyone else getting 12? How can the sum of 12 terms be 12 when the first term is 12? Because eventually these become negative and start canceling each other out, right? Right. I'm not sure why that was. I apparently messed up. That was not on that section. But I would definitely ask you to find the 12th term, okay? And don't be surprised when the ratios or differences aren't cute little things like -2, okay? Because this is a pretty easy question that most of you could figure out without ever knowing any formulas, right? And the ones on the quiz are a little bit trickier than that, probably. All right, it also says to find the first term. This is find the first term. Ideas? If you wanted to use this, what would you have to do? This is the 10th term. That goes here, the -8, but it also means what? What's this 10 mean? 10th term, so that means this would be a 10 as well. So sum first term plus the difference, 10 minus 1 or 9 times. I would have gone straight to this because I don't use those formulas very often, but so to get the 10th term of -8, you added this difference of -0.8 9 times to sum first term. Let's see, what's that? -7.2, anybody? So I have to add 7.2 over here. Is it -0.8 is the first term? I'm trying to do mental math, so somebody please check me. Could you try this now? If you were wanting to check, write out the whole till you get to 10 and make sure it's working, right? All right. But don't do that on the quiz until you finish the quiz, then go back and take time to try things another way. I'm just worried everybody's going to think they need to do every problem 3 different ways, and it's going to take forever. Right, explicit and recursive, and you have to know the difference. First of all, what's going on here? It's going up 35 over 7, which on a good day means they're really doing what? Adding 5. Okay, this is 5 and 2/7, 10 and 2/7, etc. You could tell me they're adding 35 over 7 and I wouldn't fail you, okay? But what does this look like as an explicit formula? Explicit means you take the one off the gray sheet and you plug the numbers in, right? So a sub n equals 2/7 plus 5 and minus 1. And I would be nice and accept that. It does simplify. I don't know if I can do it in my head. I think it would be this. But I'm okay with this. Recursive? Yep. He said 5 plus a sub n minus 1 doesn't matter. Probably better that way because it's clear where your subscript is, but I don't care. Everybody good? You got to know the difference between those two forms, guys. Okay, the second section is geometric sequences. It says problem number 8 on 8B, and then I got some extras here. The extra one here says if you have a first term of 9 and R is 3/2, find the first 5 terms. Well, 9 is the first term. This is on the review sheet. Does everybody know where I am? 9 times 3 halves is 13.5 or 27 halves times 3 halves is 20.25 if you want to go with decimals. And then 2 more. 30.375 and 45.5625. Okay? If you did it in fractions, you're multiplying by 3 over 2. Whoops, just kidding. So the first one was 9, then 27 over 2, then 81 over 4. Let's see, times 3, 243 over 8. Times 3, 729. Somebody help me. Over 16. Is that 5? Okay. That should be all of those as fractions. I don't care what you do, because they're exact either way. All right. Find the exact value of the 13th term. Now what? What's the explicit formula for a geometric sequence? A sub n equals? Okay. So if the first term was 9, what is our R value? 3 halves, and we're supposed to do it how many times? 12. Now, if this won't work as a math enter, do you remember what we did to make this better? It's 9 times 3 to the 12th over 2 to the 12th, right? That makes sense, guys? There's 12 on top and 12 of these on the bottom. So 9 times what? 4782969 all over 4096. That's just disgusting. If I put that on the quiz, I deserve to have to grade it, right? Yeah, mine won't do it back to a... Okay. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't reduce because everything on top is powers of 3 and everything on the bottom is powers of 2, so it won't reduce. Okay, that was thoroughly disgusting. All right, this is question 8 off 8B. Write the explicit and a recursive formula. Who's got me for the explicit? Nice and loud, come on. We are on geometric. What are we multiplying by? How would you find that? Would say the first term was multiplied by something and became -4. So you'd get -4 over 6 or 2/3. And then you'd check and make sure that's working, right? All right, and this one gets to an n-1. Anybody have recursive? Which would, again, the way Isaac said it the first time, be a better way to write it. -2/3 times the previous term. Okay, this was how we found R. That has nothing to do with the answer here. Everybody good? Kind of panicking that some of you haven't done any practice and are going to be totally lost. Okay. In a geometric sequence, what is R if the first term is negative 20 and the, what does that say? Eighth term? Okay. So it was multiplied by R 8 minus 1 times and became 5 over, is that the nice disgusting answer? Okay. So how are we going to do that? Could I have made these a little more disgusting? R to the 7th equals whatever that nastiness is divided by negative 20, right? 5 divided by 4096 divided by negative 20. Now what? We have a disgusting number, but now we have to do to the 7th root or to the 1/7 power. Yeah. When we take that disgustingness all to the 1/7, I got a very nice R equals negative 0.25 or 1/4. Yes? Well, it should have been a positive divided by a negative, and then to the 1/7 power. So it should be negative 1/4, I think. And that's all it asked for was what R is. Does everybody get that to work out in its horridness? Okay. Find u sub 1. Anybody got me here? U sub n equals u sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. Well, what do we know? We know the 6th term, we'd have a 6 minus 1 up here. And if we substitute in some values, we have 128 over 625 equals some first term times 4 to the 5th. Okay. 128 divided by 625 and then divided by 4 to the 5th. Is Hofbauer going to be real happy if you write that on your paper? No. If you wanted to write 2 times 10 to the negative 4th, that's what that means. But if you do a math enter, I got 1/500,000th. Did anybody else get 1/5,000th? Well, that's just mean. No, it's a U, not a, whatever. Something, the first term was this. I feel like they're not quite all this nasty on the quiz. I think I got a little carried away on the review. We good? All right. The third section of the quiz is back to arithmetic, but this time it's generally focused on finding the sum, which we already did one of. Remember, I had one in the wrong place earlier. Yeah, 1C. Ah, so those are in the wrong spot. This first, okay. So this, anyway, doesn't matter. Let's go with, I don't know. Okay. It says, extra problem number 5 says find the exact sum of the first 18 terms of sequence 7 on 8B. So this is what I wrote down. Is that right, guys? Is that from number 7 on 8B? Okay. So this is the question, and I want you to find the sum of the first 18 terms. How would you do that? What's the formula? (18 over 2 times the first term plus the 18th term, right? As it's arithmetic. Well, the first term is 2/7. How do we find the 18th term? The 18th term is the first term plus or times? We're doing arithmetic, right? Plus, what's the difference? 5. How many times to get to the 18th term? 17 times. So that's just 2 7 plus 85. And we get 597 over 7. Okay, plus 2 sevenths. And then times 9, right? 18 over 2. I got 770.1428571, or it did work. Mine anyway. 5391 over 7. Which this is not an exact answer, by the way. It is rounded. All right. This is question 1 off worksheet 8B. Is that right, guys? It says find the 30th term, which is what I should have had you do earlier. How do you find the 30th term of this? Do you have it written down, guys? How did this go? Did it start with 12? 12, 10, 8, okay. How do we find the 30th term? -2, 29 times. Anybody get -46? Okay. Do you want to practice a sum one more time or not? If it said find the sum of the 30th term, you just do what? Doesn't say that. I'm just saying what if it did? First term plus 30th term, all times what? 30 over 2 or 15, yes. I got -510. Did anybody else actually type that and get that? For a little extra practice? Did anyone do that and get something different? Someone check me. -510? Okay. That wasn't asked for. I was just doing extra, okay? Because, all right, find 3. This is on 8B number 5. Is that not working for you? Did you get that? Okay, just type it. Yeah. It's 40. What? This yes. I'm not doing B. This has find the 30th term, so just for extra practice, I said, well, now let's find the sum of the first 30 terms, okay? All right. Question 5 off 8B. Find 3 arithmetic means between 22 and 16. How does this go? What does that mean? There's 3 terms, and it was what kind of a sequence? Arithmetic. So 22 plus how many differences got them to 16? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if I subtract 22, I get anybody else get -1.5 or -3/2? Okay, so now you got to find them, remember. So 22 minus 1.5, 20.5. Minus 1.58, 19. Minus 1.5, and then minus 1.5 is 16. Shoo! That should have been much easier. For some reason, I was struggling. All right. The number of seats in a theater from front to back is given by this sequence. There are 8 rows. How many seats are total? Okay. What do we need to figure out? Okay. D is -4. I've never been in a theater where the front row has more seats than the back row. But okay, we're going with it. It'd be kind of cool. But now what? We want a total, so eventually we want a sum of 8 rows, right? But the formula for, is this arithmetic or geometric? So we need the first plus the 8th all times what? Okay. Again, this is the top, this n is what messes people up. You're saying sum of 8 terms is just 8 over 2. Okay, first term, 50. 8th term, gotta find it. How do we find the 8th term? So row 8, you would do what? You could just keep subtracting 4 till you figured it out, but how about the first term minus 4 7 times? I got 22. Did anyone else get 22? So 72 times 4, 288. Is that right? My mental math is improving for the day. Give me a second. It'll go to poop again. Are we good or not? All right, now I'm on 10.3b, back on the review sheet. This is geometric sums. Remind me of that horrible formula for finding the sum of a geometric sequence. Oh, yeah, S, sum. Just kidding. That's a hot mess. Okay, go ahead. One minus r to the n all over 1 minus r. I think that's what you meant to say. I'm not sure you said that. And we always probably want to put extra parentheses there, right? To be sure. We can put extra around this r as well, but all right. Let's do this extra problem first. Find the exact sum of the first 6 terms of the geometric sequence with this. Oh, how nice. Didn't they give us everything we need? So the sum of 6 terms, where the first term is 10 and r is -1/4. Okay, please type. Because this is the exact question everyone gets wrong. Because when there's a negative and a fraction, people forget all the extra parentheses or try to shortcut something. What is n, by the way? 6. Okay, be careful. Okay. 10 times 1 minus, parenthesis, -1/4 to the 6th. Close that whole top, divided by 1 minus, parenthesis, -1/4. Oh, ugh. Yeah, 7.998046875. Math enter gives me, I actually got mine to work, 4095 over 512. Does everybody's calculator switch it back to fraction? Anybody's not? Okay. Don't round, whatever you do. If you can't get it to switch back, write it all out, okay? And I'll deal with it. But why do I say don't round? if this r is negative 1/4, this is getting tinier and tinier and tinier every time, right? So the difference between the first 5 terms added up and the first 6 terms added up is very tiny, right? And if you round, you could very easily get, did someone put in a 5? You got almost exactly the same thing, yep. All right. Hopefully it's not too confusing on there. 8b, ready? Ew. Find for the geometric sequence where the 4th term is 450. 1, 2, 3, 4. And r is 2/5. Find the first 4 terms, the 8th term, and the sum of the first 8 terms. Well, fine. Okay. The next term you would multiply by 2/5, right? So to go backwards, there was some term here, term 3, and it was multiplied by 2/5 to get 450. So how are we going to undo that? We could multiply by 5/2, right, the reciprocal, or we could divide by 2/5, don't matter. 450 divided by parenthesis 2/5, or like I said, just 450 times 2.5. 1125, anybody? And then the same process again. Lovely. Yeah, 2812.5 or 5625 over 2. And then times that again is, this first term is 7031.25 or 28,125 over 4. Anybody? Well, partially because if I made them 2, 4, 8, 16, where you're just multiplying by 2, you could just guess, but yeah, I know. All right. How do you find the 8th term? Well, if you wanted to use this, you'd say the first term, I'm going to use the decimal, okay, times r, which was 2/5. How many times? 8 minus 1 or 7 times? I got 11.52. Anyone else? Or 288 over 25? Somebody get something different? Did you do to the power of 7? Did you get something different? Okay. That I heard somebody whisper and they got something different. All right, now we have to find the sum of the first 8 terms. I don't know how this is going to go exactly, but we'll try it. Sum of 8. What's the formula for this one again? Okay, the first term times 1 minus 2/5 to the, not 8 minus 1 this time, right? The formula is just n all over 1 minus 2/5. Oh my goodness. I kind of want to cry right now. I got 11711.07, which is an exact answer. It is exact because otherwise it'd have more places back here. It's 7/100. 11,711 and 700ths. Anyone not getting it still? No? Okay. Exactly like this. 7031.25. Parenthesis. 1 minus parenthesis. 2 divided by 5 parenthesis. Okay. To the 8th. Then another parenthesis. Then all divided by. Okay. And you can do it in some steps. You just got to be super careful. Find two geometric means. What are we doing? Well, it means what happened. Geometric means we multiplied by something how many times? 1, 2, 3. So do we write 3R? Okay. So 5324. Again with the ugly. Divided by 5. To the what? Cube root or 1/3 power. 2.2, anybody? Or 11/5, which would make this 11, I'm thinking. And 121/5, or decimal, since the rest of it was 24.2. And those are self-checking, right? As if you did it times 2.2 again, you should get 53.24. All right. A virus reproduces at a rate of 8% per hour. If there were 40 cells on the surface initially, how many would there be after 12 hours? Okay, after 12 hours, guys, is this after 1 hour? No, this is initially. So do I want to multiply? What am I multiplying by? It reproduces means it's growing, so it's 1.08. 11 or 12 times? 12. Don't confuse you guys. I promise. It's just like you did back when we did this in exponential growth, okay? After 12 hours, you just did times 12 and you didn't even think about it, right? You didn't argue about whether it was 12 or 11. All of a sudden now you want to argue because we're learned a new formula. But this is before, it's not after day 1. So this is not really the first term. All right. And we get? What? I don't care about the, oh my gosh, I put 10.08. I was like, wow, something is wrong. It's in scientific notation to a power of 14. I don't want to grade that. All right, I got 100 point something. So 100 or 101. This one doesn't have to be exact. It's how many virus cells or something. If you gave me a decimal, I'd be fine, but you can give me exact, but you also could just tell me 100 or 101 cells and I'd be good enough. Because I would know if you did to the 11th, guys, if you did to only the 11th, you get 93.3, and then I would clearly know that it's not a rounding thing. You just did it wrong. All right, last section. And we only have 4 minutes. Determine if this notation, if you'd get an arithmetic, geometric, or neither sequence out of this. Any ideas? But it doesn't want the sum. It's given in sum notation, but it doesn't want a sum. It wants to know, is it arithmetic, geometric, or neither? I've just given you the sum notation to make your life difficult. If you put a 1 in, what do you get out? 1, I think, don't you? If you put a 2 in, That would be 4. When you square it, times 3 would be 12, minus 2 is 10. If you put a 3 in, you get 9 times 3 is 27, minus 2 is 25. Are they adding the same thing every time? Are they multiplying by the same thing every time? That's it. All right, is this one arithmetic, geometric, or neither? I'm going with neither because the top is multiplying by 2, but the bottom is what? Adding 2. So the next term, well, it's neither. I could still find the next term. It would be 16 over 11, yes? Everybody knows how to do this one? Just type it in your calculator so I can skip that one. Find the 8th term. What do you do here? You just put an 8 in, right? So you get, I think, 39 over 64. I did the mental math right. Okay, number 10. Converges or diverges? Does anybody remember what this means? Okay. So the top one is doing what? It is subtracting 90. Okay. Is that going to converge or diverge? Why? Eventually it's going to become negative and then it's going to keep going negative, right? It's going to get like negative infinity. It's like a line going down. All right. This one, it's dividing by 2, right? So you'd have 1/2, 1/4, 1/8. It's getting tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier, but it's never going to hit 0, so it is converging. Okay. We got through it all, except that question. Did anybody get an answer on that one? I just need an answer for this. Somebody did it. Come on. I got 54. Did anyone do this and get 54? If I put in a 1, I get this. If I put in a 2, I get this. So I'm thinking, put in a 3, I get this. So I'm thinking they're multiplying, no, they're adding 2/5, right? So if it's an adding, you'd need arithmetic. So it would be the first term is 4/5 plus the 15th term, which would be 32/5, all times 15 over 2. Let's see if that works. 36/5 times. Yeah, I got 54 doing it 2 different ways. All right. So that's the review for the quiz.